Welcome everyone to today's webcast. Is 2017 the year PMOs finally address benefits realization? My name's Ben Chamberlain. I'm the Chief Product Officer here at UMT360. In today's session, we're going to take a look at some of the key principles you may want to consider when adding or integrating benefits realization management into your existing PPM processes. And I guess one of the sort of primary takeaways here is there's an opportunity for PMOs to really become the custodians of value management or benefits in the organization and really position their function as more of a strategic function to the business. Now we will be pausing at the end of today's session for a Q&A, so please utilize the GoToMeeting questions manager to post any questions and we'll look to answer them at the end of today's session. For those of you that are not familiar with UMT360, we're widely recognized as experts in all flavors of enterprise portfolio management, consulting, and technologies. I'm kind of the first to admit that enterprise portfolio management remains an ambiguous term at best as different vendors encroach on the domain from different angles. But what we look to do is really provide organizations with the top-down business planning controls needed to transform the way they manage any enterprise investment. Could be the way that you manage your project and program investments like we'll look at today, or even managing other enterprise portfolios that are consuming scarce budget and resources. And ultimately we're looking to provide a framework to align all execution with strategy. So let's jump in. When I was preparing for today's session, I actually noticed this graphic pop up on LinkedIn. I think it tells an all too familiar tale where actually the product or outcome or project that is delivered is a far cry from what was initially conceived or even funded. In this case, originally proposed a rocket that could go to the moon and back in the same day and ended up delivering nothing more than a bicycle on a ramp. So why is this? Now, the cynic in me would say maybe business cases are being used to inflate benefits just to get projects funded. Or maybe poor project execution, change in scope, whatever it may be, resulted in the outcome not living up to the original expectation. Either way, I think there's a role for the PMO to play. One, in terms of ensuring organizations don't game in the investment cycle and inflate benefits in the business case, all the way through to optimizing benefits at project, program, portfolio level through the execution life cycle. I actually included this slide in a previous presentation. In one of the Gartner reports, actually reached out to a number of executives and asked them a simple question: is your PMO viewed as a value-generating function? And over 2/3 kind of alarmingly responded to say, there is value, but they're really more, PMO is really more of an administrative or bureaucratic function. So why is that? I think the primary reason still remains that many PMOs today focus more on project delivery and project execution, taking responsibility for the core PPM capabilities of demand management, schedule management, resource management, whatever it may be, team collaboration, to ensure effective delivery of the project. I'm not downplaying the importance of this role. It remains as important today as it did yesterday. All I'm saying is to manage today's enterprise investments, we need, as PMOs, to adopt a different mindset. We need to view projects and programs as business investments at their core and start to garner both the financial and strategic insights to make quicker, better, faster decisions. So taking responsibility for investment governance, financial management, benefits management, value management is key to repositioning your PMO as an important strategic function in addition to that much needed function that focuses on project execution. So you have to be really comfortable wearing two hats. One, the master of project delivery, kind of the PMI hat, as well as almost becoming business-minded and becoming the CFO of your project and program portfolios. So based on that description, this presentation fits quite well, because there is an opportunity for the PMO to start to integrate benefits management into PPM. So what is benefits realization management? That's actually a critical discipline that helps you to orchestrate and manage the benefits through the life of the project and potentially the portfolio too. It's also an important discipline that helps you to connect execution with strategy or strategic planning. Now, there are many different ways that you break down the sort of core steps in benefits realization. I'm proposing 3 steps here. So when you think about how benefits can be supported across the life of a project initiative, there's the identification phase, where we look to improve strategic planning, capture requests, and build out business cases to ensure we're working on the right things. Then we move into execute, where we're looking really to plan the overall portfolio delivery and successfully execute the projects within that portfolio on time, within budget, but also to maximize the value from these important business investments. And last but by no means least, and certainly one of the key things in benefits realization, is once the investment is complete, how do we measure the results? So identify, execute, and measure are 3 key components of really integrating benefits management across the PPM lifecycle. Now, we're actually going to spend time looking at some of the core concepts in each of those stages or steps. But I've introduced here a benefits realization maturity model, which is it's come from Ghana. It's actually in one of their papers, Benefits Realization, the Gift That Keeps On Giving. It's not my intent to go deep here, but you can see how they refer to their 3 steps here of planning, executing, and harvesting benefits, and the traditional kind of 5-point scale in terms of maturity from ultimate chaos all the way through to adaptability. Now, I can let you sort of read through the fundamental components here, some of which we'll be touching on in today's presentation. What I think is important to know is what they found in this report is most organizations today are somewhere between the basic visibility and holistic visibility, so just basically starting to integrate benefits into a business case and establishing a process to track. But they also mentioned that many are actually regressing back to level 1. And this is in keeping with some of the research from the PMI that actually showed that around 83% of organizations still lack fundamental maturity within benefits realization. So there's a lot of room for improvement here. So we're going to jump into looking at 2 fundamental principles within the identify, or that upfront kind of strategic planning, project identification and evaluation stage of the PPM lifecycle. We'll look at 2 things. The importance of step 1, standardizing benefit assessments within a business case. And then next, the importance of connecting initiatives back to the business strategies that they support. So let's start with standardized benefit assessments in the business case. This is often the first step and very important step. Before you can standardize benefits, I think it's important to ask, what are they? So what is a benefit? Sort of description I have here is a benefit can be defined as a positive outcome of an action or change that contributes towards meeting one or more business objectives or strategies. So a couple of words sort of pop out here. Positive. It must be viewed as a positive outcome by stakeholders, one or more stakeholders. What is an outcome? A lot of talk in the business today around outcome-driven planning. But an outcome is something that drives a tangible result for the business, makes a fundamental change to a key operating capability in the business. And what does it change? Now, to drive that outcome, ultimately we need a change that often consumes time and money, a project, an initiative, whatever it may be. So if a benefit is a positive outcome, there can also be the opposite of that, or dis-benefits, which is perceived as negative outcomes by one or more stakeholders. It's also important to note that there benefits, there may be different types of benefits. End benefits, which ultimately are beneficial end state, so you complete the full outcome, or intermediate benefits. Intermediate benefits may result in impacting other benefits. If you think about an example of an intermediate benefit, maybe there is a strategy put into place or a need to reduce resolution times for customer incidents or customer requests. That in turn, by reducing those times, can impact and increase customer satisfaction or loyalty, or in turn improve another benefit, which may be improving the brand image of the organization. So there's definitely a cascading effect that can exist between benefits. Another very important thing to note about benefits is they are based on varying time horizons. They're going to occur over time, whether it's a near-term, medium-term, or longer-term benefits. So, moving on, different types of sort of benefit classifications. Some are fairly well understood, others not. So financial benefits, non-financial benefits, tangible benefits, intangible benefits, even hard or soft benefits, which I'm not going to go into today. So let's just briefly cover these different types of benefits. So for most organizations, certainly in the private sector, they're sort of motivated by profit. So a financial benefit can basically be seen as an outcome that contributes to a financial objective or profit of an organization. These are often seen as kind of first-class citizens from a benefit perspective. So examples of this could be increased revenue, cost savings, cost avoidance, and the list goes on. Obviously, the opposite of that is non-financial benefits. Unfortunately, these are often seen as kind of second-class citizens by many people in organizations. But the reality is that to successfully deliver your strategy, you're going to need a combination of measurements around financial and non-financial benefits. So a non-financial benefit may be an outcome that delivers on a non-financial objective. An example of that could be employee morale, customer satisfaction, brand image, and again, the list goes on. So I think it's fair to say that most people understand the high-level differences between a financial benefit and non-financial benefits. I think there's a little confusion and there's not necessarily a right or wrong here between tangible benefits and intangible benefits. When you think about a tangible benefit, what is tangible? It's something that is you can touch. It's something that can be easily measured. Many people think naturally that this is a great place again for financial benefits. But the truth is, non-financial benefits, such as looking to improve employee morale aligned with a strategy of becoming a world-class employer, can also be made tangible, because I can measure non-financial benefits. In that example, I could easily measure improvements to employee morale based on recurring employee satisfaction surveys that are sent out by the HR department. I could measure that based on improvements to employee retention rates. It can be argued as well that you could even turn a non-financial benefit into a tangible benefit into a financial benefit, because I could look at the cost of employee retention and actually base some financial savings around that. So tangible benefits are something that really can be measured and can be financial or non-financial. Now some people would actually see, again, intangible benefits being non-financial, and that's not wrong necessarily, but what I'm going to say here is intangible benefits is something that cannot be measured. It's a little too subjective. And I'm going to make this sort of case that really when you look to include benefits within a business case, they should be tangible. So you should be able to measure whether they're financial or non-financial in nature. So obviously we could spend a whole lot of time dissecting the definition of what is a benefit. But ultimately what we're looking to do is, as early as possible, so right at the start of capturing that project request and formalizing a business case, starting to standardize the capture of benefit estimating within that business case. Why do we want to do that? We want all information within a project to be governable and instantly reportable, and benefits is by no exception, right? It should be tied to the project. There's a lot of talk about including benefit registers. However you do it, let's start to centralize benefit information within our business case and not have it necessarily held in a disconnected Excel spreadsheet housed in a project site. So what do we want to do here? We want to work across the finance and strategy teams to really start to standardize the type of benefits we capture. And this is certainly by no means a definitive list, but as we talked about already, there could be many high-level objectives, such as financial objectives, customer employee objectives, compliance objectives, that are supported by a standardized set of underlying benefits. So the importance of standardizing benefits, just like we standardize cost structure, is key to provide a guiding light to folks that are completing a business case. Different types of projects may draw down on or require different benefits, right? So being able to standardize templates for business projects versus IT projects and link common benefits to those is also key. So I want to be able to, as I say, integrate benefit estimates within the business case, but rather than just saying we expect this benefit to deliver X, we also want to capture the time-phased impact of that. When will this benefit occur? So again, the importance of centralizing benefits in the business case is key. Now, there's actually a research here done by the PMI and the PMI Pulse, and the paper with the strategic impact of projects identify benefits to drive business results, show that really good things happen when you start to capture benefits early in the project's life cycle. One of the first things they report or state in that report is instantly we change the mindset of the project. It instantly is seen as more a strategic thing than a tactical thing. But as you can see here, when you start to capture project benefits or project benefits that are often defined at the start of the project, it's going to increase the amount of projects that meet their goals or intent. Even noticed a positive impact on projects that are delivered within budget and on time. So even if we just look at the first one here, what the PMI states is that if you start to capture benefits early in the project's life, there's a good chance that you're going to get 54% more projects meeting their intended goals. It's a simple activity of capturing benefits as early as you can, and obviously the most obvious place is the business case. So there are going to be a couple of polls in today's session, so on with the first one. And the question here is, has your organization standardized benefit assessments for projects in a business case? And what you should be seeing here are the potential responses is yes, benefits are standardized in our PPM system, so we have standardized the benefits in the business case. Yes, benefits have been standardized, but we're actually managing them outside of a PPM system in Excel or similar. It could be in a project charter, Word document. No, we capture benefits, but they're not standardized. So we don't have a standardized list. It's really down to the sponsor and project teams to figure out what benefits this is going to deliver. And finally, no, we don't include benefit estimates in the business case at all. So I'll give you 5 seconds or so to respond to that, and then we'll look at the results. So looking at the results here, top one, yes, benefits are standardized and captured and consolidated in the PPM system, 16%, which is great. Yes, benefits are standardized, but being managed outside. So, close to 40% of standardized benefits and in some shape or form. No, we capture benefits, but they're not standardized. So, relying on project teams really and sponsors really to define what the benefits are. And 9%, no, we don't include benefits at all. So, pretty positive based on those results. So, let's go back to the slides. So on to the next part of the identify. And there's obviously many things to talk about here, we're just picking two. Next, it's important to connect our initiatives to business strategies. You know, projects and programs aren't created in a vacuum. Right? They're funded to make a change to something. It's most likely, or they should, be derived from a strategic priority within the organization. So again, we could spend an hour just focusing on strategic planning techniques. In fact, we have webcasts that cover this subject. Now, there are many, many different strategic planning techniques that an organization utilize: balanced scorecard, Hoshin planning, outcome-based planning, the Gartner execution methodology, the advent of agile, SAFe, capability-based planning. Lots of very good, powerful planning techniques, but at their core, they all follow pretty much the same principles. When looking to define your strategy, often you start by identifying business problems and business needs, which cascade down to sort of high-level, often multi-year objectives. In this example is the objective of needing to increase revenue by an amount, in this case 350 million within 3 years. So then we really need to start to break that down to something that is more actionable and specific. So you can break down into different business strategies. So here we see examples of two strategies related to that objective. We're going to increase share in existing markets. We're going to expand into new markets and segments. Now, again, you can use the kind of SMART acronym ensuring we define good business strategies. They should be specific and target a particular improvement. One of the most important ones is they should be measurable. You should be able to measure them and define that specific outcome. So establishing KPIs at the strategy level, setting targets is one of the key things in strategic planning, and also linking back in terms of benefits realization. Now, if it's going to a strategy is truly assignable or even actionable, you should be able to append different investments to that. And often we see that being the place to introduce programs. Programs are key in terms of strategic planning and also key to aligning execution with strategy. Programs act as a natural hub between the strategic priorities and the underlying execution themselves or projects. So as you break down one or more programs that are really derived to deliver on a specific outcome, again, you can start to record and capture and document the benefits around each program before breaking down into the underlying projects. Of course, you can still capture the benefit estimates and assessments at the project level too. But this is a pretty standardized model that exists across many of these planning techniques and shows really the importance of taking a top-down approach to derive the investments that you want to do that align with the strategy. Many organizations today don't necessarily follow this process, but are still looking to map, let's say, projects back to strategies. So the importance of being able to tie back at a minimum our investments, our projects, programs back to strategy is key. It helps us understand which ones they're supporting. It also helps us to derive and trend scores like strategic value, which basically shows the contribution of an investment against strategy. And again, we can go a lot deeper into that subject on its own. So important to realize or recognize that we need to integrate these investments back into the strategic planning process and ultimately derive these investments from the strategies within that are being derived in the organization. On to the next poll. On to the next poll. Do you currently connect your initiatives to your business strategies? So the responses here, yes, projects are derived from strategies top down, so we do go through that kind of systematic decomposition of objective strategy. strategies are actionable and inform programs or projects. So it's generated truly top-down. Yes, projects are evaluated against strategies. This is also what we refer to as a project-driven investment approach, where normally what happens is you hit that kind of annual planning cadence. Projects are sort of thrown into the hopper as part of that business case assessment. Of course, you're doing a benefit assessment and tying back loosely to core business strategies. Could impact one or more business strategies, obviously, that help to derive a strategic value score. So more of a bottom-up way of working. No, projects in this case are not connected sort of systematically to our strategies. So 3 options. I'll give about 5 to 10 seconds to respond to those. So let's look at this. So yes, projects are derived from strategies top down, 44%. Now, that is great. I mean, this is not something that we see across all organizations that we talk to on a daily, weekly, if not daily basis. But there is a big push to move to that kind of program planning approach or capability-driven planning approach, which is a top-down planning approach, but is often not being done consistently across an organization. So to hear that 44% on this call have adopted that top-down planning approach is very, very encouraging. The rest of us pretty much are focused on the strategy being rolled bottom up, or projects being connected to strategies bottom up, which is good too. But as I say, there is a big push to move to that top-down planning approach, one that really allows you to more effectively derive execution from the strategy, in turn obviously aligning execution to the strategy. Okay, so let's move on. So again, I said we're going to just touch on some of the concepts today. So moving from the identify stage to the execute stage in the benefits realization management process. Now, this is kind of key. We have to recognize the fact that benefits shouldn't just be left within the project business case. We should start to evolve these through the life of the investment. And the PMO really should take responsibility for orchestrating benefits creation through the life of the portfolio. So this is really where we're going to look at stages around more of the detailed planning of the portfolio and executing the projects and programs themselves. So let's start in this case with orchestrating roadmaps. We talked about, benefits potentially having a cascading effect, so being able to understand the sort of map that exists and dependencies that exist between benefits. We also talked about benefits having a time dimension. There's a lot of talk today in industry about the importance of road mapping. Road mapping being a tool that allows you really to harmonize different investments across the organization and give you macro control. So I'm going to suggest that we can start to use roadmaps not only to understand the kind of connected nature of benefits, but also to, from a PMO point of view, to understand the impact of project performance on the delivery of the plan benefits. So the example that I show on the screen here is a simple roadmap that is basically showing projects and the other investments that are tied back to key strategies. So again, going back to that previous slide we had, we can decomposing strategy into programs, into projects. We can very easily understand what is driving a given outcome or benefit. Because there's a time dimension, when we look to sequence our portfolio, in terms of looking for available resources to execute, we can also keep a keen eye on the benefit forecasts. What is the impact going to be if we change a project's timeline on the ultimate value that we're getting from this project and when it's going to occur and how that is impacting the portfolio level. So being able to visualize benefit maps through roadmaps, being able to, at the start of the planning cycle, really sequence your investments, snapshot that information, and look at what the kind of planned forecast is for those benefits is key. Now, obviously, things change as we start to execute. So now we have everything connected, both from a kind of impact perspective and a time perspective. We can start to see the impact of change. So if a project's delayed from a schedule perspective, what impact that's going to have on my benefit. You know, when we look at sort of cross-project, cross-portfolio relationships, if an issue is occurring on one project, is that going to impact another project, which in turn is impacting another outcome in the organization? So road mapping really is a tool that not only helps us with the benefit dependencies, but also helps us visualize the time impact of this, and is becoming a key tool for any enterprise PMO. Let's face it, we're not just focusing on the tactical execution of projects, so whether they're on time or in budget. Going back to that example, that cartoon we had up front, we're looking to build the rocket, not the bicycle. So keeping a keen eye on benefits and value management through the life of the project and the portfolio is key, and road mapping is a useful tool to do that. Now, this to me is one of the primary concepts that we have to take on board, that we must, once a project moves into execution, or detailed planning then moves into execution, continue to evolve the benefit estimates. Let's not let those benefit estimates stagnate in a business case. Let's go beyond using a business case simply as a vehicle to get a project approved, and let's look to evolve benefit estimates the same way that we evolve cost estimates through the life of the project. So we got to either start to introduce key gates during the detailed planning and execution portion of a project's life, where the benefit estimates are systematically refactored based on what's known today. Maybe there's a change in the business environment or whatever it may be that's impacting the benefit. Maybe gates are not enough. Maybe we need to move to more of a quarterly, monthly assessment, recurring assessment when the benefits are updated. Now, accountability is key. All too often, one of the reasons benefits management fails is because it is assumed that the program manager or the project manager will be responsible for the benefits. Not true. Obviously, the program manager and project manager are responsible for the successful delivery of that project and should have a keen eye on the benefits as well. But it is the business sponsor. It is the initiative sponsor that ultimately should be accountable. So the project and program manager in this instance really should be working with the business sponsor or initiative sponsor to make sure the benefits are updated in a timely manner through the execution portion of a project's life. So how can that be used? Once we start to update benefit forecasts, compare with the initial estimates, we can start to roll up that information alongside other information that's already included in portfolio steering committee meetings to support decisions, go whole kill decisions around projects, with the intent of optimizing value or optimizing costs and maximizing value at any given point from projects. And this is, again, one of the key roles of the PMO, not just looking at assessing changes in the value proposition of a project, but also maximizing benefits or value across one or more portfolios. So again, I guess one of the key messages here is don't let the estimates stagnate within a business case, continue to evolve them, and start to look at improving things like benefit estimation accuracy and other things by assessing against the original plan. Now, talking about rebalancing or a portfolio on a recurring basis, something that we refer to here as more of agile portfolio management or dynamic planning, I'm going to suggest that there's a new metric that we already see many PMOs adopting. So when we go back to that original slide talking about becoming the CFO of your project and program portfolio, this is one of the metrics we see PMOs adopting. It's a metric called strategic yield. And it's really derived from two factors. One is strategic value, and this goes back to the section we talked about connecting initiatives back to strategy. By doing that, we can look at more objectively deriving a strategic value score for an initiative based on its contribution to one or more business drivers. And the benefits here is a project could support multiple business drivers, not just financial, but also non-financial. So it really is a fairer assessment of being able to do kind of apples-to-apples assessment across different types of projects, a revenue generating versus an internal efficiency. We haven't talked in detail about the business case, but obviously that we need to do a better job of integrating cost management or financial management within PPM generally to track costs, estimate and forecast costs. So yield is basically strategic value divided by cost and becomes a very dynamic metric. You know, if value increases or value falls, if cost increases, if cost falls, it's going to have an immediate impact on yield. So it's being really used in a multitude of reasons by PMOs. The first is upfront in that kind of project evaluation process in the identification stage. How do we calculate a bang for the buck for effectively evaluating different types of projects and programs? It's also now a metric that's being used to assess in-flight projects and pending projects. Again, when you move to dynamic planning, the chances are you're looking to know when to bring in new projects into the portfolio, when to divest an existing. And strategic yield acts as that immediate investment viability indicator. You know, if the cost goes up and value stays the same, yield is going to fall. There may be a better buy in the portfolio. So you start to think about adopting benefit management techniques or value management techniques. Think about promoting the importance of yield in how you evaluate projects and programs and how you even optimize your portfolio, because you can again in turn aggregate yield at the portfolio level and start to look at variances in yield that suggest maybe when you want to rebalance that portfolio when you're not forecasting the yield that you were planning initially. So yield key in terms of balancing a portfolio. So next poll 3, do you evolve benefit estimates during project execution? And responses here is pretty simple. Yes, we do. No, but we plan to. No, we don't. Now, from the last 2 polls, I think we have more mature organizations on the call today, so we'll see how this this pans out. Famous last words. Let's see. So another 5 seconds or so. So, do we evolve benefit estimates during project execution? In other words, are we, not just leaving the benefit estimates in the bottom drawer and filing the business case in the bottom drawer? And 21% say yes, we do evolve. 38% say encouragingly no, but we plan to, and it is an important step, probably one of the most critical steps in starting to drive a culture that supports benefits management in an organization, certainly from a PPM perspective. And 40% saying, no, we don't, and by that statement, no, we don't plan to. So love to have some conversations with some of you folks in the reasons why benefits should not evolve during the course of an investment's life. So, and this is kind of in keeping, if we look how these polls have played out, it's kind of in keeping with what we said. I mean, going back to that Gartner maturity model, level 1 was really about the ability to sort of standardize financial assessments and do a sort of lightweight assessment of did we achieve those benefits at the back end, but certainly wasn't including a lot of the evolving benefits through the life of the project or some more advanced capabilities around connecting benefits to strategies and other things. So let's move on. Last but by no means least, measure. And again, we're just touching on a few things in each stage here. This is certainly not a comprehensive overview of how to deploy a benefits management process. Two things we'll look at. Got to follow through in this stage. This is a stage where potentially the initiatives are complete, and we want to start actually seeing did we achieve the results that were initially estimated or forecasted. So if you're going to set this process up, we must follow through and be seen to track results. And kind of on a related but also maybe disconnected note is, as a PMO, let's take this opportunity, not just track results in terms of did the project achieve their results, let's also look at establishing and measuring and communicating additional metrics that show the value of the PPM function and in turn the PMO themselves. So we'll start with the follow through and tracking results. A lot can be said here. Now, obviously, this is where a project is completed, or we start to track benefits through the life of a program. This is not always the responsibility of the PMO. You may be handing over here to the strategic planning function, finance and operations function to start to systematically measure the results of the initiatives that were funded. Some organizations I've seen actual benefits realization function be stood up. As PMOs evolve into an enterprise PMO construct, could easily see that function existing within a corporate or enterprise PMO function, especially when that dotted lines into the CFO. So it may not be a direct responsibility there, the PMO, but it's something that we want to ensure is happening, because ensuring that we start to track benefits, and more importantly, ensuring that the results are clearly communicated and made visible through dashboards, is a surefire way of getting people to actively participate in the process. Not many people want to be seen as low performers or with a red indicator against them. So highlighting this information is naturally going to encourage people to want to participate in the process because they know it's being tracked, they know the business case, they're going to be held accountable to the business case. And this has a very important secondary benefit. If you know you're going to be tracked, the chances are you're not going to want to game that business case and inflate the benefit estimates. You're going to want to get more realistic in the benefit estimates that are captured. So by simply looking at benefits variance, actual versus plan, and reporting back, will in turn encourage more realistic benefit estimates. We have a customer that actually at the end of each year produces reports which are basically the hall of fame and shame, and not necessarily related to benefits, but some other metrics that they track within their organization which are important to them. And no one obviously wants to be in the hall of shame. Certainly want to appear as a high performer in whatever categories that they're measuring. So making visible and actually following through and tracking benefits is important. Now, in terms of how you track benefits, it's key really not to do it at the project level, right? We talked in that slide up front, we were now decomposing strategy, setting KPIs, targets, capturing benefits at the program level. The program level and certainly the strategic level, both are places where we want to measure the results. Did the program achieve what it set out to achieve relative to the outcome it was looking to drive? Have we fully realized the vision of the strategy based on the KPI and outcome, the full outcome that was set with that strategy? May not be the only place we choose to track benefits in a sort of product-orientated organizations with P&L at the product level. we may track there. When you think about IT, it often gets a little harder. So when you think about how to measure and track the benefit of a project that in theory was going to automate, better automate a certain process through an application and reduce the cost of running that process. Where do we want to measure that? At the project level? Is it easy to track at the project level? Did that project reap the benefit, or should we actually be reducing the run cost of that process or capability, or even the supporting asset, in this case application, and saying that going forward, this asset will, the maintenance costs will reduce by $500,000. And if that doesn't occur, it's pretty obvious that that benefit wasn't achieved, but yet you have the traceability back down to the projects to figure out which projects should have delivered on that benefit. So, tracking at the strategy level and program level definitely is key. Tracking at the project level tends to be a challenge. Now, from a PMO perspective, ensuring benefits are tracked is one thing, but there's many other things that we want to do post-life of a project. So establishing the appropriate lessons learned, or even deriving other metrics that look at identifying issues that we can make improvements to improve project delivery and in turn drive more value from our portfolio is certainly key. So we're going to go into that in a little bit more detail in a second. So example here of different sort of benefit dashboards here. So wherever you're looking at tracking total benefits realized, actual versus plan levels, whether that's at the project program or more importantly at the portfolio level, whether that's looking at benefit variance, average payback, whatever the metrics are, let's look to track them. And also, as I just said, completing lessons learned, using survey techniques to score things like customer success and of a project is key, and being able to report on that is an example of other key metrics that you may want to track and trend to demonstrate the value of the PPM function or PMO. Now we could get deeper into this, and really the list goes on and on and on. In fact, we did a webcast a few months ago that specifically looked at the types of portfolio metrics and benchmarks that an organization may want to focus on. I'm going to spend a little bit of time on that over the next 5 minutes. But before we do, let's take a look at the last poll. Does your organization track the benefit realized? And as with the last poll, the answers are pretty simple. Yes, we do. No, but we plan to. And no, we don't. So does your organization actually track the benefits that are realized? Okay, so I'd have to compare the results to the previous poll, but around 30% saying, yep, we do, which is great. 45% we do, sorry, we don't, but we definitely plan to. And again, 25% saying they don't. So again, it would be good to have more of a sort of discussion around that bottom 25%, and also in the last poll, which no plans to evolve estimates or track estimates. So we have to ask, why capture them in the benefit estimates in the first place. So moving on, not going to go too deep here. Like I said, there was a whole webinar we did on this subject. The PPM tool today is really becoming a vault of very, very important information. The question is, as PMOs, are we really leveraging that information to its fullest to demonstrate the value that the PPM function and in turn the PMO is bringing to the organization? So really what we say here, and again we have a full hour on this subject, is it's important when you're looking to move from that kind of tactical perception of a PMO into more of a strategic value generating function, to focus more on metrics that the business or executives care about. Go beyond the traditional metrics we measure a project portfolio against, so going beyond schedule, work, cost, etc., which still remain important, but ultimately, what are we changing in the organization? Now, I'm not going to go too deep here at all, but examples of metrics that we see our customers tracking against. Budget utilization is a big one. Are we spending all the money that's available to us? How much money is being left on the table within a fiscal period and not being invested, and what are the reasons? So systematically trending things like budget utilization across different businesses and portfolios is an example of moving from tactical metrics into more strategic metrics. Estimating accuracy, whether this is done from a cost perspective, whether this is done from a benefits perspective, being able to look at understanding how accurate our estimating is key. So even trending that through the life of the project at different gates and understanding the percentage accuracy of our benefit estimates as a project mature helps us to a degree start to take more of a sort of capital stewardship for our portfolio. And again, this is applicable as much to costs as it is benefits. I'm not going to go too deep into strategic yield. We already talked about strategic yield, but again, it tends to be a good leading indicator that many organizations are starting to do to manage the value and optimize the value of their portfolio. Examples of some way we see organizations using this, looking at planned yield at the portfolio level, yield variance versus forecast versus plan, how much yield was realized on a portfolio, what is the average yield per project, and so forth. Different metrics that you can start to utilize. Time to market, obviously getting projects quicker through the process and demonstrating what is the sort of planning velocity. If we're getting stuck in the process, what's the sort of review velocity, time we spend stuck in gates versus delivery velocity. So really looking to speed up delivery times, which can have a big impact on bringing products to market quicker and in various other scenarios. So again, if you're interested more about some of the key metrics that we see PMOs starting to utilize to position themselves more as a strategic function, we do have another webcast which dives deep into this particular subject. So wrapping up now, what are the key takeaways from this session? I think, as I said from the get-go, if we want our PMO to be seen more as a value-generating function, going back to that initial Gartner survey that we showed at the front, one of the ways is to focus on managing the strategic side of projects, and taking responsibility for benefits and value management is just one dimension that we should be considering. Already said this a few times, so no need to really go any deeper. Let's not just let benefit estimates stagnate in the business case. Let's look to evolve and certainly then follow through and track benefits and report on that to encourage more participation and drive more realistic estimates. It's not the project manager's responsibility to define and manage and reforecast benefits. Let's ensure the accountability is with whoever is the stakeholder of that initiative or responsible for that outcome. Now, in terms of being seen more as a strategic PMO, again, go beyond the traditional metrics. What are the needles you're looking to move and present back to the business and present also at that level too. So next we're going to stop and really look at any questions that have been asked during the course of today's presentation. Now, if you want to learn more about UMT360, please feel free to visit umt360.com. In terms of engaging with 360, there's a variety of ways to do so. Let's just start with an initial discussion. We have a whole framework and methodology around helping organizations build more of a strategic-minded PMO. Often starts with a kind of assessment of your current PPM process and building really a roadmap of how to systematically cross that chasm and move into more of a sort of an enterprise PMO function. So that being said, let's pause now and look at any questions that have been posed. So just looking at you, what's the obvious ones here? Will the deck be made available online for this presentation? The answer is yes. I mean, the deck will actually be sent out, I believe, at the end of today's presentation. So read this one here. Some couple of long questions here, so let me just read these out loud. What about the argument that tangibles for non-financial benefits increasing employee morale are difficult to measure for an isolated project business case? Maybe there's 10 things going on this year that are not really related that could be contributing some way to improve employee morale. What's the good way of dealing with this reality? Let's play that one back. What about the argument that tangibles are for non-financial benefits increasing morale are difficult to measure for an isolated project or business case? Maybe there are 10 things going on. Yeah, I mean, I think this comes down to kind of the art and science. I'm not sure when that question was posed, but we sort of gave an example of how to turn a non-financial benefit into more of a tangible benefit. So it could have been around the time the question was asked. So really, to make it tangible, as we said, how do we measure it? There are obviously going to be a whole host of projects that are either directly impacting a high-level objective to build a to become a world-class employer, or to improve overall employee satisfaction. So we're either going to be able to establish tangible metrics based off key measures like the employee satisfaction score, or other measures like employee retention. Now, if there are projects that maybe impact other tangible benefits, but as a secondary impact on employee morale, may be harder to track. So in that case, maybe you just don't track unless you can come back to really tying back to an objective measure, such as an employee satisfaction survey that's done on a cadence that your HR team does that. So another question here, can you provide an example of how strategic value is being calculated? Yeah, and we have other webcasts that go deeper in this, and again, we could have spent 10, 15 minutes on this subject. So again, the way strategic value is normally being derived is based on understanding the contribution a project has on one or more business drivers or business strategies. So let's say you are taking that, the simplest example, that kind of project-driven investment approach where you're capturing projects, building a business case, and as part of that business case you're doing an assessment of which of the business drivers this will impact. As we said, business drivers should be measurable, so being able to assign one or more KPIs to those business drivers is key, because then I can put some objective statement to why and what impact this project will have on that business strategy. So let's say it's going to increase revenue. It could be considered an extreme impact. Let's say if it was increasing revenue by more than $5 million, strong, moderate, low, based on different thresholds from a revenue perspective. So by doing that impact assessment and by making those kind of impact assessments more objective through KPIs, we can start to then prioritize and derive a strategic value score. Because what often happens is you define your strategy and then you prioritize your strategy, different techniques to do this, so you actually have a sort of weighted priority for the different business strategies that the project can be impacted against. And then by understanding the contribution the project will have each business driver, you can derive an absolute strategic value score, right? So I may have 8 business strategies the project could impact, and impacts 3, it's going to derive a score of whatever it is, 56 for strategic value, an absolute score which you can then trend through the life of the project. So it can change. If the value assessment changes, you're going to see the value should change too. So there is different ways of doing this, but the most common approach is to define and prioritize business strategy, establish key impact statements that are used to assess a project's contribution against one or more business drivers, and in turn use that mapping to derive a absolute strategic value score that is trended through the life. And then you can derive yield and other things by looking at value divided by cost. So over time, so I think we'll come back on some of the other questions that have been asked here. We'd like to thank you for your time today. Please look out for other webcasts coming from the UMT 360 team. Thanks again.